Welcome back to Devlog number 5 for my game Ashes and Blood. Um, this week I have some really nice stuff for you. I've been working on some visual effects like projectiles, and I have been working, or yeah, I have overworked my animation controller and also added a low state when the character is low on health. And last but not least, I also added some much needed audio to the game. Also, I got the feedback that the videos were really hard to watch because of the screen resolution, and so I've dug up an old monitor, and yeah, I'll just try to use that one um, for future recordings. So let me know if it's any better. And yeah, without further ado, I'll start right off with the projectiles. So I already prepared a scene here with only archers, and that's because one thing I did this week is I implemented trajectories, or rather, as a first step, projectiles as a concept. Previously, every ability was basically just flat out, right? And either units in between weren't taken into account at all, or they were taken into account if it was sort of an AoE component and they also took damage. But like there was no logic running to determine if an ability can even hit from a certain angle because it's projectile based, right? So what I did as a first step, it's not finished yet, but what I did as a first step is I got this fancy little trajectory indicator, which is basically showing if or the flight path of the projectile that the character is using. That's why I'm using only archers right now, just to showcase that, because of course that's only relevant for ranged attacks, or also for some abilities, maybe a fireball, or yeah, I don't know. A fireball is one example which comes to my mind. We will see. And yeah, so also what I did is there is like an unit can obscure or can be in the way of the projectile, and in that case the projectile flight path will be stopped early, and we can also see this here, and then also it highlights in yellow if we would hit an allied unit as here, as it is the case here. We also see this little red highlighting around the unit, just to give sort of a visual warning as well. However, yeah, so that's that. And if it's an enemy unit, if it's a good action, quote unquote, we have this blue outline. And yeah, I also did a very first variant of an arrow projectile. Um, yeah, it doesn't look that good yet, obviously, but I was just trying to test it out. And as you might have seen here, there is actually, let me just show it again real quick. There is a little arrow flying through the air. Oh, that's nice. This orc here just transformed. All right, okay. I'll have to note that for later. Yeah, that's one thing I did. So how I did it is I have my view manager here, which is sort of the parent object for all the UI stuff, or for the whole view basically. It also holds some UI objects like, for example, the active character indicator is that little bopping arrow which shows which is the current character. And additionally, now there is this trajectory indicator, and I'll add that in here as well as soon as I'm 100% finished and happy with it. And this trajectory indicator basically just holds a line renderer, and has two materials, one giving sort of this gradient appearance, and then the other one just for this glowing effect. And on the game object or on the prefab, we got this trajectory indicator, and this indicator basically what it does is it calculates the path from the starting point, from the active character, which I'm getting via an event which is triggered when the relevant state is reached. Meaning the whole battle is basically just one big state machine. Yeah, so as I was putting together the video for uploading it, I thought I could also show this real quick if it is interesting for you. Otherwise, you can just skip it. So basically, yeah, that's the character turn state machine, which is then just one-to-one basically represented in code. And I got one base abstract state and then multiple concrete states. And here we can basically see when the new turn starts. Let's just forget about the character placement state for now because it's not used yet. But if the turn starts, we land in a turn start state, and then automatically, this is basically just used for UI, and we automatically transition to the character selected state. And here the current character is automatically selected. The turn system determines which character is the next to act, and this one is automatically selected. We can then undo or go into the inspection state by clicking on another character, and when we don't all the green arrows are also indicating undoable actions, and the red ones are not undoable or not yet. And then from the character selected state, we can either transition to the character acting selected state or the character movement selected state. It's basically just those two buttons which are present from the get-go, where we can either select move or act. And if we let's just take the movement first off. If we're in the character movement selected state, we then once a tile has been selected, we start the move command, and once the movement has been finished, we land in this character moved state. And from here, if the character has already acted as well, we automatically land in this selecting the direction state, and where we have to select the direction and basically end the turn, right? And then up here for the character acting selected state, we got whoops, not meant to do that. We can either select an ability, or if the normal attack as of right now is not concerned as an ability, so if we just select the normal attack, we land directly in the character acting preview state. That's the state which I also showed before with the trajectory indicator, right? And if we first click on the abilities button, we land in this ability selecting state, then selected an ability, and once the ability has been selected, we also transition to this character acting preview state. And then here, exactly the same as with the movement, I also have a command for the ability, for encapsulating the ability. That's basically just so it's easy. I can undo it very easily, right? Because if I encapsulate the whole logic for the movement or for the acting in a command object, I can just push it on a stack, and if I want to undo it, I can just pop the last command which I pushed on the stack and call the undo method on it, and that's it. So yeah, and right, once the animation has been is finished, we land in this character acted state, and from here same as down here. If the character has already moved, we end in this selecting direction state, and from there we also have, I think I also added the end turn state, but that's basically just for the UI to refresh and all, and then the whole game starts from a new, or the whole game, you know what I mean, just the state machine starts from the start again. Yo. And when the targetable cells are previewed or can be previewed, that's one state. And when I enter in this state now, I also trigger this event, and then I get the current character here, all the targetable cells, etc., etc. And then basically I just calculate an arc with a Bezier curve. And yeah, this is there is a really good article on this topic, so this explains it a lot better than I could. I'm just going to link that in the down in the description. And then basically I also have to handle the obstruction logic, which is sort of a mess right now. The first obstacle on arc it is, because on the one hand there is sort of the 3D component, right? And I can basically pretty easily detect if I have a collision. But on the other hand, we also have this sort of depth, right, from the isometric perspective and on a 2D plane, sort of. So I also have to take this depth into account. And so yeah, that's basically what I'm doing here. It's not really optimized yet. I need to take a closer look at this at some point. But for now it works, and I think I'm fine for now. But yeah, basically what I'm doing is I'm getting all the points from the Bezier curve, right? That's the arc points, and I'm walking through each of those points. And if there is a collision, if for example here with the overlay circle, I check with the current point and a certain probe radius if I got a collision, and then I also pass here as an argument text to check. Right now I only check for the character tags, but in the future I could also check for other tags if I want to. And if a tag of relevance, or if a collision with a tag of relevance is detected, then I'm basically just also making sure that this character at that certain position is even relevant when taken into perspective with the depth component, right? And that's what I'm doing here. Or basically, no, this is just calculating the line from the start or from position of the caster who's launching the attack or the ability or whatever, the projectile, to the target. And then I convert all these vector-free ints to actual cells, and then I check if where is it here? If the cells online, which is yeah, the result from here, contains the character which we collided with, right? Yeah. So that's that. Right. Yeah, so what I also did this week is I implemented, or I added, the low state, which is basically a visual indication that a character is low on health. Right now I've set the threshold to 25% of the max health. That may change. And yeah, this sort of is just, it was always there, I just didn't use it yet. And let's hope I hit this character, 40% chance. and it missed, of course. Let's try that again, maybe. Well, it's not that important, but let's just take a look again at the transitions. Oops. If we take this character here real quick and reduce his health to 30, and then we have to trigger the logic, which is determining if he is low or not. And yeah, basically that check always happens when the health is changed, but only via the default setter methods, and not if I just go into the inspector and change it there. So that's why it wasn't happening there. And yeah, what I'll definitely have to work on is like the transitions from the low state to the casting or attacking or whatever. Right now it's just instantaneous, and yeah, maybe it's also good this way. I'm not sure yet, but I think I'll do some further work on this. And yeah, that's something I did. And while I was at it, I also sort of cleaned up the whole animator a little bit, because it was getting yeah, quite big. So yeah, what I did now is I separated everything into those substate machines. Before, the walking wasn't in a substate machine, and so the base state machine was cluttered with the 4 different walking states as well. And so now they are also sort of nested into this substate machine, and that makes the whole thing a little cleaner and more bearable. That's just the current solution. Maybe I'll come up with something better in the future. But basically, yeah, we have now we have transitions from walking to low if the threshold is I can show you that as well. Here in the inspector, right from we have just from walking right to low, right, walking up, low, up, and so on and so forth. And there just a condition, if the condition, it's a boolean which has to be set. If it is true, we go to low, and yeah, in low we basically just loop until some action or some trigger is set. Then we perform the action, like for example jumping, right? And this is sort of just an one-time animation clip. This runs, and when it is finished running, it just leaves again, right? Or wait, sorry, that's that's a bad example. The jumping one is the exception. But let's take the casting one. This just runs, has an exit time, and as soon as it is finished with running, we return back to the return to movement helper state, which I created a while back. And this is basically just a placeholder. It does nothing. It doesn't have a motion on it. Yeah, it is just so we can leave from all these states to the return to movement, and the return to movement will evaluate where to go based on the booleans that are set. So for example, low up needs walking up equals true and low equals true. And as comparison, the return to movement walking up needs walking up true as well, of course, but then low equals false, right? So yeah, that's that. And then last but not least, what I also did this week, let me show you. So yeah, the last thing I did is the audio for the game. And wait, hold up. Let me just make this big screen. Okay. And you should hear some background music now. And yeah, I also added some aside from the music, I also added some sound effects for the UI, for example. And if you just start a new game now, we'll also hear some more atmospheric background music. and each of the action has a distinct sound effect to it. Right now I don't have that much variation, but I'm definitely going to increase that. So if I'm undoing an action, I actually got this, I can't really describe the sound, but I think it's pretty fitting for undoing the action. And also the selecting, I really like it. Um, so, but yeah, one goal is definitely to increase the variation. Um, so there is a bigger pool of different sound effects to select from. And yeah, also for the UI, we have some nice sound effects now. And yeah, also one thing, something I did is I implemented the first version of this change profession UI, which basically allows to change the profession of the unit. And yeah, that just as a little side note. I was just noticing it now while scrolling through here. And yeah, so let's trigger it back. Yeah, you should hear some more energetic sound now. And that's the goal for the battles, that you have a little more aggressive and fast-paced music compared to the rather yeah, just background atmospheric sounds of the campaign. That's also one thing I didn't add yet, like the whole atmosphere sounds like birds chirping or wind gust or all that sort of stuff, which also adds a extremely lot to the whole experience. But yeah, I just wasn't able to do that yet. So yeah, I'm also going to show you how I did that in code. And over here, if we still have this open, but if we just hop over to, for example, yeah, right, and then the audio controller. So the audio controller is the central piece which holds everything else together. The audio controller has a bunch of audio sources hooked up, two two music tracks to sort of fade from one soundtrack to the next one, so we don't have this hard cutoff, right? How it works is basically we just decrease the volume as we want to transition from one soundtrack to the next one. We just decrease the volume on one of the channels and simultaneously increase the volume on the other channel. And so this smooth transition is done. And then we also have other audio sources, like for the visual effects, and for the UI sounds. And yeah, and all the controller has all these sources connected, and then he also manages a list of audio managers. And why did I break it up like that? The reason is that at one point there will be a ton of audio clips which I'll be loading, and so basically the audio controller would have been bloated. It would have been huge. So I was looking for a way to sort of break it up a little bit, also trying to split the logic into some coherent unit, you could say. And so for example, I got this music audio manager which just has the music clips. I also already, like I mentioned before, I already started with the different audio clips. So we have one for main menu, we have for world, and we have for battle. And what I will be definitely doing is different soundtracks for the different factions. So right now I only have the humans and the orcs, right? But basically when a battle is triggered, when the player plays as orcs, he should be hearing different sound tracks than when he's playing the humans. And also when battles are triggered, um, depending on depending on the factions that are partaking in the battle, a different pool of possible soundtracks should be used, and then just randomly shuffle through the through the pool basically. And yeah, that's that. Uh, this is just like the abstract audio manager, which bundles up the common logic which is shared among all the other audio managers. And yeah, I think that's all I have for this week. What I'll be doing next is I'll continue working on the projectiles and yeah, finish up the projectiles. And let me know if you want to see this burst Pathfinder video I've been talking about. And if so, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, have a good one. See you in the next one.